What's the most heartbreaking thing your spouse has said to you? My wife Emily had met her best friend Chuck in high school. They became close friends and Chuck came out to Emily as gay. Emily was supportive. A year or so later, Chuck came out to his parents. They disowned him and kicked him out. Chuck ended up living with Emily and her parents for the rest of high school. Emily and I started dating after college and she told me all about Chuck and how close they were and how he was like a brother. I met Chuck and we got along and became friends. Chuck was a good guy. At the time, Chuck was dating a guy and they ended up moving in together about the same time that Emily and I got engaged. Emily and I got married 5 years ago now. I was a project manager and took on a year-long project in another city. I had to leave at 5:30 every morning and got home around 6:30 p.m. Emily and I talked at length about my job before I took on this project. We knew it would be a sacrifice for me to be working so much, but I was getting more money than I ever thought I would. After this project, we could pay off our student debt and start trying to have a baby. We both agreed the money was worth it since it was only a year. That year would be up in late November. In March, Chuck caught his boyfriend cheating. He was devastated. Emily immediately told him he could move in with us. I was fine with him moving in, but not happy that Emily didn't even discuss it with me first. Chuck was pretty broken up and Emily gave him lots of love and attention. I was alright with it because I knew how much she loved Chuck and he did need her. I also did my best to support him and make him feel loved. For a while, this was fine. But as time went on, Emily continued to pour all of her attention into Chuck. Sometimes I got home from work and neither of them were there. I found out they had gone to a movie or out to dinner together. I didn't think there was anything romantic or intimate between them, but it was annoying that I got left out of all the plans. Over the past few weeks, several things happened. The three of us went to a party and someone joked about Chuck being our third wheel. Emily said, "Chuck is not the third wheel." I said, "What?" And she said, "I've known Chuck longer than I've known you." A week or so after that, Emily and Chuck went out dancing one night. I had to work the next day, so I stayed home. I woke up at about 3 a.m. and Emily was not in bed. I went and found her and Chuck cuddled up on the couch asleep with the TV on. Both of those things made me uncomfortable. I also realized I had been working so much, I was just letting Emily and Chuck plan everything. I had not planned a date night in a while. I decided I needed to be more active, so I planned a date night for last Friday. When I first told Emily, she was excited as we had not been on a date, just the two of us, in a while. Friday I got home at 6:30 and Emily and Chuck were not there. I took a shower and got ready. About 7:15, I finally called Emily as we had reservations at 8. She answered and when I asked where she was, she said she and Chuck had gone shopping and were getting some dinner. I was stunned and asked about our date. She laughed and said, "Oh, I forgot." Oh, well. She didn't even invite me to join them. My dad had been very controlling of my mom and had an anger problem where he would yell and throw things. He never threw things at us, but it was still scary. As a kid, I worked very hard to not be like him. I tried to never be controlling of Emily or tell her what to do. I also tended to shut down when I got angry. When Emily forgot our date, I was mad, so I didn't say anything right then, but I knew I needed to address how I was feeling. Later that evening I told her we needed to talk. I had written down some things so I could stay focused. I started by saying that I loved Chuck and he was always welcome in our home, but that I felt our marriage was suffering and we needed to work on us. Emily blew up. She thought I was attacking Chuck. I guess I didn't word things well and she started defending him and attacking me. We never had a big fight before. We always talked and worked things out. I was stunned that she attacked me. She said some awful things. Then she said Chuck was her soulmate and I just had to get used to that. I just shut down. I didn't even know how to process that. I loved Emily more than anything in the world. But in that moment I realized she loved Chuck more than she loved me. I thought Emily and I were soulmates, but to hear her say she considered someone else her soulmate was devastating. I don't remember the rest of the talk. She huffed off after a while and slept on the couch. She and Chuck left together the next day and were gone most of the day. When they got back, she acted like nothing had happened. On Sunday, she even made a small joke and batted her eyes at me, something she did when flirting. Normally I loved it, but this time it just made me sick. I told her it was a busy week at work and I would stay at a hotel near the job site, something I had done before. I didn't see her again after that Sunday night. Typing all of this made me realize I was really burned out with all the travel. Maybe I checked out too much and didn't give her enough attention. But how could I move forward knowing she would never love me as much as I loved her?